Okay, so I've opened up this image in Photoshop and I'll just bring it down. I noticed in the preview that the image is quite blurry. The detail seems to be missing from the image. And so I quickly had a look, and so this one that you've tried to stretch is not, number one, a smart object. So basically you're just stretching the pixels that are already there. You should always be working with a smart object. With this smart object, if I go in and edit the contents of it, it's not very big. For some reason, you can see the pixelation of the people here. So somehow we've got a low res image. If I go to image size, so pixels, it's only 1000 by 750 pixels. So that's probably, well, that is the reason why it's blurry. So if you could bring in the correct image or the high res image, that will solve the blurring that I can see of the people here. Now, as for the cropping, I'm thinking, let's see. So what have we got? We've got, I'll just, in nature you can get away with squashing images, but with people and structures it doesn't work. So I'm going to make this the same, which is going to make my life more difficult. Yeah, I can see the problem with this image. So what we might do is get this sign, leave it as I've got it there, and cut this sign out and then bring it down to be in the frame. So I'll quickly have a look at that and see if that's going to work. So, undo. Just quickly. And then I should be doing this in contents in here. Okay, and bring this down, and it's going to have to be bigger, so it's going to blur a little bit. It will probably need some individual sharpening just to compensate for the additional size that it's going to be. Now, where are they here? So what do we think? Probably about like that. So if I save that, yeah, so if we could do something like that, let me just see what that looks like. Yeah, that will work. Just needs to be obviously done properly. That's just a quick mock-up of how it looks, and that image then should be okay. Before I go, just with the once again, neutrals. It's lacking contrast. So try the neutral blacks, and we could potentially. I'm looking at the whites, like and you can see that they're more of a grey. So we've got more room to boost this image up in terms of brightness. There is a level where you don't want to go over, but if I was to look, that's more of a grey rather than a white. And think about it being a backlit display. Like, it's not like print where imagine like with a LCD screen that light is shining through the back of the image, kind of thing, like a light box. So if we can boost this up to almost like where it would be white, if we can get it spot on, all of these other colors will pop. Like, to just quickly show you, if I was to go into selective color, neutrals, and then like that, and there may be some color casts in here, so I'll just have a quick look. It's not too bad in terms of color casts, which I didn't think it would be. But then if I go into, say, well, to start off with, we'll go to exposure, and you can see how the colors have immediately popped. There. And then, as a final tweak, coming into selective color in the whites, and it's not too bad because I did it with exposure, but sometimes there's a bit of a color cast in the white with the yellows there. Somewhere there. So with these two now, you can see the contrast is quite flat, but by tackling those issues that I just mentioned, you can see that it really pops. So if you could just make it high res, the image, bring the sign down, we should be good. And the colors. Thank you. And one final note, just play around with all the colors in selective color, greens, blues. I mean, this has got everything in it. You know, the reds here. Don't go in and select anything individually. Always do global changes for images that you're working on for me, because I believe that the image is the true form. So just with global changes, you should be able to get the image the way that nature intended, I suppose. Sort of like lightening a bottom area here, or darkening up here. It's pulling away from what it actually was naturally. It's really just a case of correcting the overall exposures and colors, for me at least anyway, that gives a true image. So yeah, I mean, the tomatoes there, I mean, maybe they were red like that, but if I go into the reds, and I'll just have a look in here, and yeah, I can definitely see that you know, some tweaks can be brought in to make the image pop even more. It's a hard one though, because I'm looking at the Chinese girl and she's getting oversaturated quite quickly. But this is the thing. The temptation would be to, well, tackle her one way and then tackle the tomatoes up there another way. But I believe that there is a true colour that the sign actually was. And that is potentially it. And the Chinese girl is giving me a clue as to what the colour should be, because she's blowing out really quickly. And while I might want to really make those tomatoes red, it wasn't like that. So I do want to make these images as authentic as possible. So I tend to just change layers. I don't do a lot of masking. So he's starting to look really yellow now. Try and find this issue of where he is so yellow. Okay, so there we go. So once again, little details in the image are giving me indications and changing how I am adjusting these to get the true image, the true colours, so to speak. Once again, I'm seeing like a global colour cast, so I'm just having a look at the neutrals. I think I might do a colour balance on it. I'm seeing there's still a lot of blue in this image and I can't seem to quite get rid of it. So if I come into the colour balance, I think this should get rid of it. Okay, now we're getting there. So now the blacks in here are all starting to look correct to me. Just got it with the yellow-blue in the shadows of the colour balance. So I'm focusing on the people here. The people are giving me the best clues as to what, I mean, this sign could be any colours, because it's not real, it's been made by a graphic designer. Whereas these people, the colours there are what I'm using to guide me. And so with that colour balance, I mean, it's only slight, but overall, all of these little tweaks do add up, and I don't know if you can even see them on your screen, but that's essentially it for that image. But I'll let you go ahead and redo this because of the blurring of the people and moving the sign down into high res, etc. So I won't save this, and if you could have a go at that, that'd be great. Thanks, Dario.